All right, great day. And now on to our final presentation for today is Renforth Resources. Renforth Resources trades on the OTC markets under the symbol RFHRF and on the CSE under the symbol RFR. Please join me welcoming President and CEO Nicole Brewster.
Hi guys, thanks for hanging around. So yes, I'm the President and CEO of Renforth Resources. As such, you're duly cautioned that everything I say is from an insider perspective and may include forward-looking statements. You should always do your own due diligence. So I just press that to the sky and it works. So Renforth holds two deposits. One is the Parbeck gold deposit. The other is the Victoria nickel sulfide polymetallic deposit. Both deposits are contiguous to the Canadian Malartic mine held by Agnico Eagle. Both deposits are open pit. They both have road access. They both have hydropower lines in place. Interestingly, Victoria, you'll see the road runs right through the property, as does the power line going to the Rapid 7 hydroelectric dam. 99% of the electricity in the province of Quebec is hydroelectric. So it's a green scenario. Parbeck is gold, and there is silver not included in the resource, but in the deposit. Victoria is a nickel sulfide polymetallic. It's an ultramafic with nickel, cobalt, platinum, and palladium, combined with a VMS giving us zinc, copper, silver, and gold. This just gives you the location of the property. I assume viewers online can see this video. You will see this on my website soon. It's not there yet. There's the roads. There's Canadian Malartic. Shows you where we are. Nobody lives on either property. We're on good terms with the First Nations, and there are no endangered species. So these are the mineral resource statements for each deposit. Parbeck is 265,000 ounces of gold in an open pit, with another 97,000 inferred ounces. The inferred ounces are within the pit and just under it. Under the cutoff, also in the pit's another 30,000 ounces of gold. The pit is a depth of 300 meters at Parbeck. Our deepest pierce point is 800 meters. Victoria is calculated with 10,000 meters of drilling over 2.5 kilometers of strike within a 20-kilometer mineralized body. It is right now presented as a nickel equivalent, or as a nickel sulfide polymetallic. However, there's also zinc and copper. And as we do more work, because 10,000 meters of drilling is not a lot of work, it may recharacterize the deposit. We're here to talk about, or most of the talking about I do, is regarding Victoria. Renforth's in a bit of a unique situation, and the Victoria is huge. And what you see in the picture there, the red box is the resource area on the 20-kilometer long feature, which is essentially bright pink. That's the magnetic ultramafic. To the north of it, there's a big pink blob, for lack of a better technical term. That's more ultramafic. And then above that is just the very edge of the sister structure, same mineralization, equally as large. There's a lot of this material. It's a very big project. It's a very timely project, and we're going to need capital. So I do tell people my intent is to monetize the gold deposit.
So yeah, we were having lunch on the hill and we found that old shovel that I was telling you about. We ended up deciding to wander through the woods here to see why we would have found an old shovel in the woods. And we found an old trench here and an old trench about 30 meters to our east. It only exposed a small amount. We took a few hand samples to verify to see if there was anything that would make us want to continue working in this particular spot. I can't remember the exact values, or zinc and copper we got, but it was enough that we wanted to expand it, and we ended up with this huge trench. So they came in with an excavator and removed they call it the organic layer, so that's like the soil and the peat and everything on top. While excavating, they used an air compressor to do like a first pass clean to get rid of all like the clumps of soil that were stuck in holes and stuff like that. After the compressor, they used high pressure water and then really cleaned the rock. And that's the result is this. Nickel's a very important commodity, especially nowadays. So if any potential nickel deposit should be something to look at. This is pretty early stages exploration on the property, so the potential for something even better than we've already found is pretty significant. Everything we're trying to do is just to create the story, make it bigger and bigger and bigger by adding value to what we've already found. So as long as we keep getting investors to let us do it, that's what we're going to keep doing.
In any case, what you saw was 180 meters of the Victoria structure that we stripped. It's 20 kilometers long. It's actually between 150 and 500 meters in width, north-south. When we stripped this, we thought we knew what we were doing, and we uncovered one iteration of the mineralization. It actually repeats within an envelope. There's 3 horizons. We only stripped one of them, but you learn as you go. So Victoria is now going to animate in the corner, and that shows you our 10,000 meters of drilling over 2.5 kilometers, which results in an open pit with a less than 1-to-1 strip ratio. It's calculated on a $20 NSR value. However, none of these drill holes have been followed up on. So we do have drill holes with much better NSR values, very attractive NSR values, and we've only drilled 10,000 meters. I have a permit in hand to be drilling, undercutting 2 drill holes, and specifically these 2 drill holes, 3.46% nickel, and actually the second one is expressed as nickel, but there's actually 0.94% copper over half a meter in it. I have the permit in hand. I need the drill, which I'll get in July, and that drilling's funded. So you'll see us drilling on Victoria in July, which is pretty exciting. We haven't worked there since 2022, I'm going to say. We've done stripping. We also have on the same property, that property is more than 300 square kilometers. We have a copper discovery in the north I don't even talk about. We've stripped it over 100 and something meters, but it's much less advanced. Victoria is the focus on the property. Now, I had a young banker put some slides together for me. Fundamentally, using the gold alone, you can argue that Renforth is significantly undervalued against its peers and, of course, against the gold in the Parbeck gold deposit. Parbeck, right next door to Canadian Malartic. Smaller, 1.6 kilometers of the Cadillac break. Railroad running through the middle of it. The break sort of is under the railroad, then it moves to the west. You see that big jagged hole in the middle of the break and where the break thickens. We actually have a diorite splay. We have a splay structure into the Pontiac sediments south of the Cadillac break. Our neighbor is the Canadian Malartic mine. It's built around a splay into the Pontiac sediments, the Sladen Fault specifically. We have what we call the diorite splay. We're currently stripping that box. We're taking the overburden off. But it's interesting. We're kind of a mini-me of our neighbor next door. The Pontiac sediment is a whole new exploration angle. And then we have gold and Apichet in the north. But there's our open pit. I put these in because it's kind of fun to see what these things look like. You'll find this stuff on my website in various iterations. So Parbeck, we're doing a couple things. We're doing the stripping right now. We'll then map and sample that. We're applying for a 2-year drill permit to drill 60,000 meters. And the last permit we're in the process of applying for is to go underground. There's a decline in place and put in the 1980s, actually by my father. He was targeting a specific part of the deposit. We've since made other discoveries, and we know that they went through gold on the way that was too low grade in the 1980s at $400 gold. We're at $4,500, $4,600 gold. Going underground still makes sense. In fact, it makes more sense now. So we're applying to dewater that decline. We expect that permitting process is going to take between 12 to 18 months. So we expect that's for next summer. The geologist tells me next spring, but honestly, I think it's next summer, fall. We'll be underground. We're stripping, as I told you, in the field. You see our 2 little excavators moving a lot of dirt. If you follow Renforth or myself on LinkedIn, I actually posted a picture today. One of my shareholders flew over in a helicopter and he took of the stripped area. So it's pretty cool what we're doing. I'll be able to go see it in 2 weeks because I've been on the road for the last couple of weeks. And by then the washing will be complete. So it's 300 meters is what we were permitted in length and about 130 meters wide. So it's pretty massive. It's not quite as impressive looking as Victoria because we chipped a whole bunch of the ground and we only stripped part of it. Whereas Victoria, we stripped everything and you saw it against the green forest. 3 settings for gold on Parbeck. Not going to go into the geology on Parbeck, but it's quite interesting actually. You see number 2 is the splay into the Pontiac That's a very interesting structure. Number one's always been known. Number three has been ignored. That's in the volcanics. So path to valuation. People maintain we're going to get a gold re-rating in juniors based on a recognition of the price of gold. I don't think we're going to get a lift all the boats because gold is up. Analysts are starting to model with $3,000 gold. The resource was done in April of 2025 with $2,100 gold. So when I do restate the resource, it will benefit from a higher gold price. My intent is to fund through Parbec, and I'm in discussions for another asset sale, but I'm not sure how those discussions are going. We're kind of insulated against commodity risks with both a gold deposit and a polymetallic deposit. We've got lots of optionality. And the last little thing, the polymetallic deposit is viable for a PEA right now, the QP tells me, but I wouldn't do it on only 10,000 meters of drilling. However, one thing that has to go into the next resource statement is the presence of platinum and palladium. This resource was calculated in October, and I didn't finish assaying the platinum and palladium until, it was early this year. We did the last of it to prove that it's consistently there. So we have a good slate of things upcoming. We have the stripping and the mapping will start. Victoria drilling is going to be July at this point. We have applied for the permit to drill Parbec. I expect that permit's going to easily take 30 days. So it's going to be July by the time we have that permit. By then we'll have results coming off of the polymetallic deposit as well as off Parbec from the mapping and stripping. So we got lots planned. $10 million market cap Canadian, give or take. 19% insider ownership. I'm 5% of that. And a fella wrote me a check for $1 million a month or two ago, and he took 14%. He's press released that he's there for, I think he said a 10 bagger, but he's previously sold, he started his own fund because he previously sold an asset to IM Gold. So RFR on the CSE, RFHRF, OTC, peer analysis based on gold in the ground or the price we're getting expressed in US dollars for our measured and indicated ounces of gold, we're under our peers. I mean, there's some interesting dialogue emerging about the transactional value of an ounce of gold in the ground is increasing. Satellite photos showing you where we're located. I actually did this because people kept telling me Parbec was too small. So the blue boxes are the mine footprints of IM Gold's Westwood, Agnico's LaRonde. Canadian Malartic's the outlier, of course, it's 4 kilometers long. But Marban, Kiena, Goldex, Eldorado, none of these footprints are big because we're on the Cadillac Break, which is a vertical structure. It goes straight down. You don't need a big footprint. And then there's Victoria off beside the road. Appendix. So MRE statement with the appropriate cautions at the bottom that go with every MRE statement. This is interesting. It's high assay grades or long intervals. The caveat here is the intervals are as measured in the core box. They're not true widths. And keep in mind that an assay, an MRE, a mineral resource estimate, is capped. I believe Parbec's mineral resource estimate was capped at 10.5 grams. So none of these grades get into the estimate anyway. But they're there. We do have high-grade gold. Victoria's mineral resource estimate, it excludes platinum and palladium. We've determined, though, with Victoria, there's a couple neat things. We've determined we can sort the ore, meaning we can discard the waste, which has the function of raising the grade. It also reduces the amount of water used, the amount of waste generated, the amount of chemicals required. We also use grant money to determine it can be conventionally processed with grinding and flotation. And I'm working with a research group, which has morphed into a university in Ontario, to look at organic heap leach, as well as carbon sequestration, because the ultramafic will absorb carbon when exposed to the environment. So Victoria is a story that continues to grow. Last night I had a conversation with another fellow who has a totally different processing methodology or an efficiency to bring to the table. So it's exciting. Contained metal. In terms of commercial value, it's sort of interesting. You've got nickel is clearly the forerunner right now, but the copper is significant. Zinc, there's lots of zinc, but zinc's not worth as much as either copper or nickel, of course. Cobalt's interesting. platinum and palladium's not included, and there's no real North American source for those. So again, that's only 10,000 meters of drilling, and I'll be undercutting 2 fantastic holes we already drilled in July. Now, we calculated this, I told you, on an NSR basis. The NSR cutoff was $20 Canadian per ton. That's the processing costs, the mining costs. And you can see there are some significant NSR values. Everything there is taken from a drill hole as measured in the core box, with the exception of 1 grab sample. And of course, I have to caution you, a grab sample is not reflective of anything more than the grab sample itself. And there we go, intervals by nickel equivalent grade. The math is really just adding up the value of all the constituent parts. But that brings us to the end of the show. So, questions. They're going to give you the mic. Let's not break the rules.
Greg looked like he was sleeping.
Yeah, we woke him up to get the mic for you.
Manager of the Giants. I'm sorry, I always call him George. Thanks, Greg.
Well, what can I do for you, sir?
Financing, are you looking to
I'm not a
secure?
bank. So right now I'm sitting on somewhere around, my CFO begrudgingly gives me indicative numbers, around 700,000 Canadian. That pays for the stripping program, which I haven't paid for yet, and it'll pay for the drilling at Victoria. I don't take a salary out of the company, nor does the CFO. We have no employees. We're both consultants. Our burn rate to sustain the company is less than 100,000 Canadian a year. What sort of financing am I looking for? Well, the answer a little while ago was maybe none, because I have this asset sale deal, but those guys have gone quiet. And in my experience, once they stop talking to me, it's because they have nothing good to say to me. So I'll probably end up raising some money in the fall, except my key shareholder, who's flying off to Europe for a bunch of meetings, is also now trying to sell the gold deposits. So we'll see what he's got up his sleeve there. So no money today, no money asked. I want to get on your screen. I want you to think about buying in the secondary market. I want you to join my email list. I want you to follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook. But no money today.
All right.
No follow-up? We'll go to the version.
What would be the security instrument you would like?
Well, if I had a wish list, I would sell Parbec for $20 to $25 million. That'd be my wish list, and I would drill the crap out of Victoria. That's my ultimate success as I see it right now. If I were to raise money, I'm really loath to do it. There's 465 million shares outstanding. I have no intention of raising money at this price. If I see the share price above between 5 and 10 cents later this year, I would probably raise 1 million, no more than like 1 million, probably Canadian, maybe $1.5 million.
So the $1 million that the gentleman bought and said it was going to be a 10-bagger, did he come in with the money officially, or okay? Because you said someone went silent.
These are the guys. They're trying to buy Beaupré, and Victoria has a sister structure, Lalonde, and I have an agreement to sell Beaupré and Lalonde, the copper discovery and the sister. They've gone quiet on me. It's $3 million US deal, but it may or may not happen at this point.
Do you have any other questions from the audience? If not, we'll pivot to the virtual audience. Number of questions. We'll see what we can get through. All right, Nicole, the stock still trades around the microcap levels. What do you see the single most powerful 2026 catalyst that could force the re-rating?
It's going to be results. It's always results at this level. It's not me buying stock. I've been eating away at the stock, but it's going to be results. My expectation is that the stripping area, we were targeting the structures we don't know much about, the discovery in the Pontiac sediments. We will get gold numbers. I don't know that we'll get spectacular blow your socks off gold numbers, because that's really not what we've seen in that area. Drilling at Victoria could blow things wide open if people actually care about critical minerals. But the critical minerals there are nickel, zinc, copper. They're not the sexy ones, i.e. lithium. So we'll see what happens.
Great answer. Okay, thank you. Next one, with stripping, chipping, and mapping underway at Parbec, are you seeing anything at surface that supports the idea of a larger or higher grade system than the current MRE shows?
Well, we don't have any sample numbers yet. We're seeing the lithologies. We know are gold bearing on surface. We'll have to sample them appropriately because previously we've seen them in very limited channel sampling grabs or the odd drill hole. Could they be higher grade? Of course, that's possible. We probably don't see the Cadillac break itself just by its very nature. It's softer rock and it's lower rock, but we were actually targeting the diorite splay and the felsites we know to be continuous across the property, which were previously ignored as well. So stay tuned.
Okay, okay. Just a couple more. I'm not going to get through them all, but you now control a district scale at Marilaritech land package. How big could the multi-deposit story be here beyond just Parbeck?
Significant. Starting from the north and not in the presentation, as I said, the Beaupré copper discovery is proximal to the Cadillac break. We stripped it. It terrifies me. So I thought before we drill it, because you know you can drill it and kill it in this business very easily, and a drill hole is just a little wee thing too. We thought we'd do some soil sampling to trace the copper anomaly, and we got a gold anomaly. Not surprising given how close we are to Cadillac break. Not helpful when you're looking for copper. So moving to the south, there's also the Lac gold. There's an intrusive in the center of the property, and the rim of the intrusive has been drilled historically with very long intervals of fairly low grade, i.e. 0.3 to 0.5 grams per ton gold intervals associated with the intrusive. We've never touched that. Then you have multiple showings of the polymetallic above Lalonde itself, in between Lalonde and Victoria, the big blob, Victoria, and below Victoria. Moving further south, I've just staked a crap load, and that's a technical term, of claims to cover off a bunch of pegmatites, a bunch of granites, as well as a bunch of ground that was historically explored for uranium. But you're no longer allowed to target with exploration, but if I find it, I report it. So uranium prospectivity in the south of the property. So could there be more to the story? Absolutely.
Great, great. Just two quick ones. You strengthen your relationship with neighbors and local parties at Parbeck. Has the community and stakeholders' feedback improved as work ramps up?
Yeah, the regime in Quebec requires community consultation, both native and non-native communities, and typically that goes quite well. Strengthening my neighbor relation at Parbeck, that's Agnico. So I'm on great terms with Agnico. They all came to visit me at PDAC, and they control the timeline. So I'm on fantastic terms with my neighbor.
Do we have another question? And just one last one, and this one just came in. Is there mercury or arsenic in the deposit?
Parbeck, no. Okay. Parbeck, there's a minor amount of arsenopyrite, but the gold is not encapsulated in the pyrite. It sits beside the pyrite, and it's not refractory. It's free milling gold, and in fact, there's a nugget effect. But it's really not a visible gold deposit. There's very, very few occurrences of visible gold, and it's been very small. So don't get your hopes up.
Great. Well, thank you, Nicole. This was great.
All right. Thank you, everyone. You can email me, Nicole at Renforth Resources. You'll find Renforth on Facebook and LinkedIn. You might find me if you look hard enough. Stay in touch. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.